Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Jacom Purposive Communication. Last time we dove into the art of negotiating partnerships. Remember how startups and NPOs communicate their interests, pitch their proposals, and aim for win-win outcomes in your previous activity? Well, guess what? Those same persuasive skills are exactly what we're tapping into today as we move into our new lesson, and it's all about writing argumentative essays. Because let's face it, whether you're closing a deal or crafting a thesis statement, it's all about framing strong arguments, anticipating counterpoints, and of course, don't forget this, persuading your audience. So today, we're taking those negotiation muscles and flexing them on paper. Let's get started. I'd like to start with these two concepts. At first glance, they seem to belong to different domains. I mean, I'm referring to negotiation and argumentation. But if we examine more closely, we see they share the same communicative DNA. Whether you're brokering a partnership or writing an argumentative essay, you're essentially doing the same thing. It's all about the act of persuading the other party. It's like you're making a case, defending your position, and aiming for a desired outcome. In other words, negotiation and argumentation are two sides of the same communicative coin. So when we negotiate partnerships, say between startups and NPOs or nonprofit organizations, we're not just exchanging resources or favors, we're crafting compelling proposals, anticipating counterpoints, and aligning interests. That's very much the same intellectual skill set we use when writing argumentative essays. So it's all about influencing outcomes, baby. Now, if we talk about purposeful persuasion, its shared foundation basically rely on purposeful persuasion. That means you're not communicating randomly or passively, you're being strategic, trying to get someone to see your point of view or agree to your proposal. Whether that's a partner across the table or a reader flipping through your essay, your goal is to guide their thinking by using logic, evidence, or even emotional appeals when necessary. When it comes to framing arguments, by the way, or of course, let's just say framing proposals, when it comes to, you know, uh, negotiating partnerships. In a business negotiation, it's crucial. It could sound like this. For example, if you're negotiating your tech platform, they can say, our tech platform can amplify your community outreach tenfold. Now, that's a startup framing their value in terms of what the NPO should know, right? And it's all about also how it can impact their mission. So in this case, framing is a necessary skill when it comes to negotiating partnerships. In an argumentative writing, or when you write an argumentative essay, your thesis statement, by the way, or your thesis, must also be framed strategically. You want your reader to immediately see how your point of view or your opinion relates to their concerns, their values, or real world problems. Framing sets the stage for engagement. Remember, when it comes to negotiating partnerships, it's similar when writing an argumentative essay. You're trying to engage with your audience, letting them understand that these are your opinion and reasons and examples. And you may not necessarily make them say yes immediately, but you want them to nod and at the back of their minds say to themselves, hmm, this person is making a good point. not only even a good point, but even a strong point. So in that case, that's how you win your audience. And when understanding the other side, that's when you present your counter arguments. Great negotiators, bear this in mind, do their homework. And that's what you did when you tried to build partnerships with another NPO or a startup. You try to check the QR code and identify what advocacy they're trying to support or they're currently supporting. And does that actually even align with your advocacy of your NPO? So you want to know the goals, the values, and even the pain points of your potential partner. So in this case, you're going to see how both your team and their team are going to align, and if there's a possible resistance. So you have to anticipate that too, because it can also happen. It can happen. Now, of course, when it comes to negotiating, it's all about finding a common ground. That's exactly what a strong argumentative writer does too. You don't just present your side, you also acknowledge and refute opposing views. And when it comes to this, you make your argument more credible and show you're engaging with the topic critically and fairly. And in addition to this, one of the best outcomes of a negotiation is a win-win scenario. So when both teams agree that, okay, I think this is going to be a good partnership, both teams consider it as a victory, a triumph for both. That's when both parties feel like they've gained something of value. Now, this one also connects to writing. When you find common ground with your reader, that is, by identifying shared values or mutual concerns, you reduce resistance from their side or on their side. In this way, or in this case rather, you create a bridge between perspectives, the perspectives of your readers or your audience and your perspectives. And that makes your argument more persuasive because it feels less combative and more collaborative. That's why when you write an argumentative essay, you need to use a rhetorical bridge. Find or create a statement by which you can make the reader or convince the reader or persuade the reader that, okay, you can be on our side. And why don't we work on this hand in hand? Why don't we advocate for this particular opinion or argument? When it comes to gaining common ground between you and your audience or reader, you need the help of language and tone for that, by the way. I have to remind you, do not underestimate the power of language. The words you choose, the tone you use, these elements can either build trust or completely derail communication. So, between these two, of course, it you have to lean toward building trust. You want your audience to trust you that you're on their side, that your opinion and arguments matter to them too. In addition to this, in both negotiation and writing, clarity, empathy, and professionalism matter. So this is why you need to ask yourself these questions. Am I using precise, respectful language? Is my tone appropriate for my audience? These key questions, whether you're drafting a proposal because you want to partner with another startup or an NPO, or, you know, writing a persuasive essay, are critical. So, when you write an argumentative essay, think about this question. Aren't you negotiating your ideas with your reader? Think about this. When you're trying to convince the other party, you also want to understand them. engage with their doubts, and ultimately bring them to your side. Keep that mindset as we dive into argument writing sooner or later, because the skills you've practiced in negotiating partnerships are going to come in handy. Thank you so much for taking the time to view this recorded lecture. I appreciate your attention and effort as we explore the link between negotiating partnerships and crafting arguments. As we move forward, please keep reflecting on how the strategies we use in negotiation, that's actually about framing, persuasion, anticipating counterpoints, are just as powerful when we begin writing our argumentative essays. In our next session, recorded session, of course, we'll go step by step into how to structure and write an argumentative essay, including how to frame your thesis, develop strong claims, and handle opposing views. So, I need you to come prepared. And when it comes to coming prepared, that means you take note of whatever critical points I'm going to share with you in that recording. Again, thank you, and I look forward to our next learning conversation. Take good care of yourselves, and God bless.